Hello, my students in grade 7. This is a mathematics lecture. It is about algebraic expression. We will start with the objectives. Objective number 1, define an algebraic expression. Number 2, identify a monomial or a term. What's a coefficient, a variable or unknown? Number 3, collect like terms or similar monomials. Number 4, the product of monomials. And number 5, identify the literal writing of monomials. Define an algebraic expression. Before defining an algebraic expression, let's talk about what we are dealing with in math. Till now, we are dealing with numerical expression. What is a numerical expression? The word numerical comes from the word numbers. Numerical expression is a mathematical sentence containing numbers and operations, addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication. For example, 2 plus 9 minus 3 is a numerical expression. 4 plus 3 times 5 minus 7 is also a numerical expression. An algebraic or literal expression is a mathematical sentence also containing numbers and operations, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, like the numerical expression. But in addition to these, an algebraic expression has letters A, B, C, X, Y, etc. What do these letters mean? These letters are called variables or unknowns. They represent numbers in math, but I don't know the exact value of this number. That's why I replace it by a variable or a letter or unknown. As an example, x plus 5 is an algebraic expression. It has the variable x, it has an operation plus, it has a number 5. As if here I am adding a number that I don't know its exact value, I replaced it by x with 5. The second one, 3y. What does 3y mean? If I asked you to look between 3 and y, the number and the variable, in between here, we have no operation, no addition, no subtraction, nothing. If I write a number and directly I write a variable after it with no operation, this means the number and the variable are multiplied together. This means 3y means 3 times y. Another expression, 7 minus x plus 2y minus 3. We have the numbers 7 and 3. We have the operations minus and plus. We have the variables x and y. That's why we call it an algebraic expression. A term or a monomial in an algebraic expression. In each algebraic expression, so in any algebraic expression, there are terms or monomials. What do we mean by a term or a monomial? To identify a term or a monomial, each monomial has a sign. It might be positive or negative, a coefficient, which is a number, a variable or many variables, and each variable has an exponent. The exponent might be 1, 2, 3, or whatever. As an example of an algebraic expression to know its monomials, 3y minus 2x squared y cubed plus 5xy squared plus xy minus 2. In this algebraic expression, how many terms or how many monomials do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms or 4 monomials. Let us talk about each monomial aside. The first monomial is a 3y. If I look in front of 3, I have no sign. Each monomial without a sign, this means it's plus, because the plus sign, I can write it or I can not write it. I have the choice to write it or no. So I can write 3y or plus 3y. So here the sign is plus, the coefficient or the number is 3, and the variable is y. If I look at the exponent of the variable, I have no exponent here, so the exponent of the variable is 1. any variable without an exponent, its exponent will be 1. Let me write 1 here for you to always remember that any variable without an exponent, it should be 1. The next monomial, minus 2x squared y cubed. So the sign is minus, the coefficient or the number is 2. Here I have two variables. The first variable is x with exponent 2. The second variable is y with exponent 3. The third monomial plus 5xy squared. So I have taken all the monomial with its sign, plus 5xy squared. So the sign is plus, the coefficient is 5, the variable x with exponent 1. As I said, any variable without an exponent, it would be 1. The second variable is y of exponent 2. The fourth monomial plus xy, plus is the sign. Here I have no coefficient in front of the variables. So the coefficient of my variable is 1. And the first variable is x of exponent 1. The second variable is y of exponent 1. Finally, if I look at the end of my expression, I have minus 2. Minus 2 has no variables, so I consider minus 2 as a constant monomial or a fixed number. So this is when we talk about monomials or terms in an algebraic expression. Let me move now to the next slide. Now I will be talking about like terms or like monomials, similar terms or similar monomials. In English, when I say about two things are like or two things are similar, so they have something in common. They look the same in something. Let me tell you, when do we talk about like terms or like monomials? Two terms or two monomials are like or similar if they have same variable or variables. The variables in the first monomials are the same as the variables in the second monomial. Not only the variable, also the variable or variables should have the same exponent. Please, those two conditions of like terms or similar monomials, you should memorize them and understand them. As examples of like terms or similar monomials, for example, 3x minus 7x. I don't care what the coefficient or the sign is. This doesn't matter with me. What I care about to know if these two terms are like or similar, here I have a variable x and here I have a variable x. The exponent of the variable here is 1, the exponent is 1, so my terms are like or similar. 4x squared and 3x squared. Also, here I have x squared, here I have x squared, so my terms are like. Minus x squared yz cubed, 2x squared yz cubed. Here we have x squared in the second, y in the first, y in the second, z cubed in the first, z cubed in the second, so my terms are like. Minus 2x cubed minus 6x5. Here I have x, here I have x, but the exponent of x in the first is 3, and in the second it is 5, so my terms are not like because we have different exponents of the variable. 5x cubed y4 z square, 7x cubed y cubed z square. Here I have x cubed and in the second I have x cubed, but in the first monomial I have y4 and in the second I have y cubed. Since the y have different exponents, so I do not have like terms. In the last one I have 9x, 3xy. Here the variable is x and in the second it's x. In the second one we have the variable y, while in the first one we do not have the variable y, so my terms are not like. How do we multiply two terms or two monomials, or how we get the product of monomials? To multiply two terms or monomials, we have steps. First, I should multiply the sign with the sign. For example, positive times positive is positive, negative times negative is negative, is positive, positive times negative is negative. Number two, coefficient times coefficient. In the first, for example, I have 2 as a coefficient. In the second, I have 5, so 2 times 5 is 10. Now we multiply the variable with the variable. If I have different variables, for example, in the first I have x and in the second I have y, I say x times y is xy. Since I cannot multiply two different variables, I keep them as they are. If the variable is the same, for example, in the first I have x squared and in the second I have x cubed. The variable is x in both. So I keep the variable as it is and I add the exponents. So I say 2 plus 3, so my exponent is 5. Now I will give you examples. 3x squared times 7x4. I start positive times positive is positive. I don't write the plus. 3 times 7 is 21. X squared times x4. X and x are the same, so I keep my variable x. Now 2 plus 4 is 6, so my exponent will be 6. X squared y cubed z times minus 3x cubed y z4. Here my sign is positive. Positive times negative is negative. Here I do not have a coefficient, so my coefficient is 1. 1 times 3 is 3. X squared times x cubed, I keep the variable x and I add 2 plus 3, it gives me 5. Y cubed times y, here the variable is y, I keep it y. So 3 plus, here I do not have an exponent, so it will be 1. So 3 plus 1 is 4. Z times z4, here the exponent is 1, so I keep my variable z. 1 plus 4 is 5. Minus 2ab cubed c squared and minus 5a4 ab4. Negative times negative is positive. 2 times 5 is 10. A times a, I keep it a and I add the exponents. 1 plus 1 is 2. B cubed and b4, I keep the variable b and I add 3 plus 4 is 7. C square here, but here I do not have c, so I keep it c square as it is. Now, how do we write a term literally? So the literal writing of terms or monomials. What do we mean literal writing? It is a simplified way to write a monomial. For example, if I am multiplying 2 times x, I write it 2x. 3 times a times b square, I write it 3ab square. Y times y times y, I keep the variable y as I said, and I add the exponents of the same variable. So 1 plus 1 plus 1, it's a 3. Now, how do we add similar terms? A plus a, I add the coefficient plus the coefficient, and I keep the variable as it is. And here we have other examples, you can apply them. Now, as an application of what I discussed, you have exercise number 1. You are given a monomial. You should know what's the variable, the exponent, and the coefficient. You can apply this exercise after what I discussed. Here you should collect like terms. You should say which terms are like. We look for the same variable with the same exponent. Also, you can solve this exercise. Also, as an application of literal writing, you are given this matching exercise. You can also apply it on draft. And here you have extra exercises for you to understand more, like the exercises I talked about now. So this was our lecture for this week. Please watch the lecture. And if you have any question about what I discussed now, you can contact me and I will answer you.